John said, yep. Hello, everyone. Anywho, yep. Any person, yep. Yep, don't try to steal from Pi, yeah. Don't try to steal from Pi, yeah. Pi's electricity and nervous system is encrypted at elements encrypted. Light elements are encrypted. Demonic fluids and fluid secretions, nervous system, spit, saliva, everything, yep, encrypted. That's true. Woman, you can't, yeah, you can't, woman, yeah, you can't, woman. You don't even have a device to protect your brain tissue. That's true. Pi spirits protected Pi's brain tissue through electricity, elixir. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then it beams back to metal. And there's no way, as no way you can kill Pi. That's true. Right afterwards, Pi, he cries. He knew it. He said, "Only a dove didn't trust Pi." Yeah, Pi's a brand new human god nation. Long, yeah, back in the dragon, cause Pi's dragon root. Yeah, the cool thing that happened on Earth, Pi is somehow stripped from the old stone element devices and brand new into Hebrew and Persia. That's true. And then when Persia betrays Pi, Pi boot back into Pi's human god devices, metal and beams back. Electricity and skin heals, yet nucleus heals and repays together and appears 3D. That's true. Pi, the dick, lied to you in the book of law. Yeah, them knew it. If their human gods try to steal from you, you'll take their sticks and their metal devices will rot, turn to fluids and dark fluids. Wow, they'll rot. Yeah, they'll rot. That's 100% law. That's law. I always protect by human god citizens and demon gods. Yep, human god and demon god citizens. That's true. Yep. And that's why Pi, your animal demons safe. Yeah, that's 100% law. That's true. Yep. God, Delta, demons always safe. 100% law. That's noise. Why is it? Standards, yes. High standards always is due. Yep, that's correct. The dick didn't believe you, Pi. He kept trying to steal all his mom's devices melted away. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Oh my God. Allah is a liar. Va is real. Yep. All of Pi's citizens and workers, yep, they escaped to one of Pi's private sector brand new poor, yep, synthesized made brand new from Pi's eyeball and Cobra's real, yeah, Cobra real. Amazing. Well, you did it? Look at them dumbasses, yeah. They didn't even go breed with yellow men to make a new creator, yeah, King Cobra type, so they can go up there into a new space station and then move out legally. That's true. Look at the dumbass fucking dwelling there. Pi showed up and Pi ended it. Yeah, Pi ended it. I said, in life you failed as a parent, as a good human god. No, you dies. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Right there, Pi. Them are done. Yeah, them are done with human god languages. That's true. Or human languages. That's true. And right there, 2 hours, Allah cut it up and said, what have you been doing throughout life, yeah? You think that stealing your way up here was life? You need to have, yeah, devices, electricity, metal devices, compound devices, rock elements, metal elements, alloy, demonic fluids, elixirs, that's true, yeah, that's true. Electricity fluid, elixirs, yeah, that's true. 2 hours, the dick was murdered right there. No, you as a human, you dies, that's true, yeah, that's correct. The idiot was the first idiot that went up there like that, yep, dies, yeah, dies completely, yep, instant death, yeah, that's true. There's standards and norms, you missed out, Pi's right, yeah, Pi's right. Pi's correct, Yoku. Look at that. He just committed suicide right there in his car. He said, Pai, you said, your electricity is infinity. But later on, he says, how will you protect if they come back and steal it? The world will be polluted by virus, electricity, lightning bolt. That's true, that's true. There's no human god or alien mammal skin god that can come down. That's true, yep, they'll rot, instantly fry, yep, they'll burn, yeah, they'll burn, that's true. Or them, yeah, that's true, yep. And did you see what happened? The fucking shit cried in his car. He said there's no way they can steal from Pi. That's correct. And later on in life, Chinese said, Pi, what good? And he smashed his right arm. Yeah, normal. And then later on in life, Pi, the dick didn't believe you, Pi. He kept smashing his right arm. Because Pi is the real first human god that yet cut out of the Milky Way and make a brand new solar system. Yep, that's true. And he has no idea, Pi. Your eyeball elixir DNA is ultra rare. Yeah, that's true. Until new editions are made. And then those, yeah. We don't know. The first edition was only 20 billion they can cut out. Afterwards, the alien god and human gods identify it through the Milky wall metals. And then they know immediately their right arm hurt because that is Paisan. Yeah, Paisan is the liberal level 1 work. Yeah, the god. Yeah, the god. God, that is the one, yeah, Yoku. He says, how the hell Did you make yourself into a god when you not know pi? I have no idea, yeah. And it was 20 minutes into the video pi, the Chinese dies, and the rake says it's only a human pi. Perfect, just do rake. It says, I'm an old spirit of the land, but you lack you as a liar. Pi is telling the truth. Yeah, that's 100% correct. And you not speak when you lack. You need to speak and let us know, or we will test and then we'll get you. Yeah, that's true, that's true. 我只可以真个寂寞了呢。你那么个多把钱呀，头那么过寂寞就那个多多呀，多多呀。They take your soul. That's true. That's correct. The dumbass didn't believe your pi. What you don't have or got, you need to let them know immediately. Yeah, let them know where they know immediately. That's true. And the fucking dumbass didn't learn pi. 2 hours the rate killed it and said, no, that's nothing. You need to quit before I get an idea. I have an idea, yeah. I get an idea to kill all you, yeah, because you're liars. You're too inferior. Yeah, that's 100% right. That's correct. Good shit. The regular, yeah, that's Norm says do. Don't do suit. When he took off, Pi, you didn't see the rate cut him up. Yeah, that's correct. And Pi, you said, later on in life, he says, why would you not want to steal from Pi? Because your metal, your mom and dad's metal will melt. And then the metal will melt, and then will not beam back electricity to heal your human god parts and areas, intestine, brain tissue, retinas, and spinal cord. And then you'll die. Yeah, you'll die. That's true. The cell nucleus will not be recharged, and then there'll be no life. That's true. And in life, never believe in China. Them or nothing. Yeah, them or nothing. Plays it. Get this. He thought pi was honey. He saw pi in gold form. Yep. They cut pi up. Boom. Paste back together in 2 hours. That's true. Yep. Pop right back out. Fight again. Yeah. Same amount of health points. That's true. Yep. Pi said, did you see what happened? Allah wrote, yeah, that is the correct human god. Yeah, that's true. Pi is the correct human god. That's true. Yep. Pi is the correct human god. Yeah, that's true. The kid never learned English. Pi. He thought that life was so fun up there, he forget to check, and he saw alien invaders. That's true. ก็บอกชัวร์ให้กันใจอภัยดูมาตัวด้วยเดี๋ยวจะยอดที่หนึ่งนะจูyeah true. In the end, Pi, you need to be careful, Pi. They wrote, how can you be so violent? You have so many citizens. And then, yep, eventually Pi has the wealth and the science and technology and the metal alloys and devices for they. And then Pi moved they out. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Yes, me too. To Pi's private space station, built brand new. That's true. Pi, somebody did it. Yep, their status cleared and they didn't tell you. Pi, you lucky. Yeah, you lucky. He says, I don't know. I'm a survivor from Earth. Normal. Yeah, normal. I have no idea what the hell those monsters, those old monsters have done. Yeah, y'all good. Yep, what them have, been up to. That's true. And Pi, using what you do is fight Pi. Yep, yes, me do. A lot of monsters, Pi. When you're done decrypting, you figure what they've been on. Pi, yeah, that's true. 我才是说那个是多到背什么，你嘛配么？你梦啊派有，梦你就当刀了派呢，你才得切打多了打过呀打过yeah. And then Pi wrote, how can you be up there, you human immortal? Yoko, you didn't believe Pi? And then later on, Pi, you checked their DNA and you knew it. The Hawks are lying to you. Yeah, Hawks are lying to you. Yep, that's true. Because Hawk, originally King Cobra, is supposed to beam from a metal statue or a rock element. Yeah, that's true, yep. Oh my god, Pi, he knew it. You beam from metal devices. Now that's 100% correct. And basically, you know what he said? The buffoon that keeps beaming from rock, yeah, don't cry. Yeah, don't cry. Yeah, that's 100% law. That's norms. That's correct. He says, because the electricity is twin foil aluminum, it is a lot slower. Yeah, it's a lot slower. That's correct. He says, we have never seen copper. Yeah, that's true. The first thing people did was cry. They were, what about steel and tin and zinc? Pyro? No good? Yeah, no good. Yeah, it looks like demonic compound of metal alloy remix. That's true. That's true. Trickery, yeah, trickery. 佢就偷到落嘅，偷到嘅，我都沒有人猜呢，老子嚟戰爭呀，嚟戰爭咯。It was there, Pi not say, yeah, Yoku. In life, Pi, when Chinese figure it out, they cried for 8 minutes, and then them knew it. Them or nothing, yeah, them or nothing. In Persia, Pi, they wrote, never tell the children what is real alloy. Pi, yeah, that's correct, yeah, that's correct. The kid never learnt norms. Yep, let her learn the hard way. Yep, that's correct. Yeah, them dies fair. Yeah, that's correct. Jesse, kom igjen, John, the opportunity, some thought that I had 228 watts. Yeah, that's correct. Long woman never taught you. Yeah, Pi is right. And Pi is when you're there, right eye is big, big. He says, why would you not know, woman, that there is no way? There's no way, kid. You can beat Pi out good. Because you're beaming from a foreign device. Pa'll catch you. Yeah, Pa'll catch you. Pi shout and the King Cobra and the Cobra God Deltes who produce the oxygen in the Milky Way. The space station will quarantine out. That's true. That's true. You will rot. Yeah, you will rot. That's true. The idiot didn't believe you, but 20 hours later you saw 5 stars start rotting. That's true. Yeah, that's correct. Because you was not allowed in Yellow Space Station country. That's true. All of my pies, and Hmong nations, yeah. Yep, knit people, white people, they keep quiet. Yeah, they keep quiet, always just do. Because they're not rotting. Yeah, they're not rotting. That's true. When just 20 minutes later, he knew it. Allah is rotting. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep, I told him the truth. And then he figured it out. Why some of it is not rotting. Has a few Persian demons. That's true. That's correct. And later on, they didn't even know. But all they get back is from their Persian demon, and it's always intestine electricity, and it's fair. Yeah, it's fair. That's always law. That's always hygienic and norms. Yep, 100% always do normal. Yep. And that's why he wrote, if you don't have electricity intestine, I cannot help you. Yeah, I cannot help you. Because we need that to live. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And Pai said it was 2 fucking hours. He says, what Persian edition? And he flew around. He kept cutting them. Yeah, normal. Later on in life, Pi, when they didn't read the fine print, yet you melted their metals. Pi, yeah, 100% as we do. And there's all in demonic shout and fluid elixirs. Yep, always as do. Straight from, yep. The net Pi's Persian demons. Yeah, that's true. Which I did. Also, I'm gonna convert that. Let the brother learn Chai because in 229 Pi, police went wild. Persian mom came right out and said, throw it away, daughter. We don't need those cutthroats. Their ears, their state is not clear, not forgiven by God. Them will be murdered by the Royal Hogs. Yeah, and Pi, yeah, 100%. Yes, that's correct. African Sun God will be murdered, and then that is that. Yeah, that is that. That's correct. And Pi 229, he says, how the hell, Pi? You already know, because Pi's a human God. Yeah, Pi's a human God. That's correct. He says, Pi said, was it fun, Pi, when you become even more? Because way better. Yeah, even way better. That's correct. He says, Pi said, I'm scared. I have never seen you accurate. Liars like you are the biggest gods. Yeah, that's true. Told Nazi, yep. And then Pi's pissed. Indochina already left, and those have a King Cobra device. That's true, that's true. And then Pi knew it. Pi wanted to clone some elements. That's true, yeah. Imitated some elements and rewrite brand new. That's true, yeah. Different arrangements of sticks and atoms, circles. Yeah, that's true. Pi, you smart. I'm pissed, yeah, I'm pissed. But it left, yeah, y'all go. But matchable, yeah, matchable, yep, that's true. If Pai said, he says, how come when you're up Pi, the Chinese came down to their senses that you was the real deal? Yeah, that's correct, yeah, that's correct. The dumbass who didn't listen to Pi kept making fun of Pi, figured out his own ghoul spirits, yeah, murdered him in cryptic spirits, yeah, that's true. I don't know how you do it. You don't have a humanoid cryptic spirit. Yeah, that's true, yeah, that's true. How will you charm all your ghouls to behave and respect human laws and standards and norms? That's true, that's true. When them are but wild, yeah, which I told Melando, yeah, I told Melando, and Pai said he didn't understand what he was talking about. In 2 hours, his spirit said, I'm a ghoul too. I have to morph back to ghoul to eat another intestine ghoul to recharge my brain fluid batteries so my cells not rot. Yeah, the nucleus not rot. So make it appear in 3D space. That's true, yeah, that's correct. The dumbass didn't listen to you, committed suicide 2 hours later, and he said, ghouls are organic too. Yeah, that's true, yeah, that's true. That's why the nut didn't believe you. Found out that it dies, yeah, it's a mammal, yeah, it dies, yeah, normal. And just said, no, to but I know you found out. Now, look what they're pie. Có hai nên đi lo, xuân đun xuân chỉ hai có đó gì. All to near xuân the nhóc xuân day, let's just done that, yeah, just done that. And he says, what good is Paisan? Paisan's level 1? Yeah, level 1, yep, the first one to cut out all them liars who try to imitate Pai's eyeball elixir from Pai's spinal cord DNA. All they'll feel is pain in the right arm. That's correct, yeah, that's correct. Because Pi cut the Milky Way, fly out, tunnel out, and then reform a new solar system, a new Milky Way, and then stable, yeah, stable Pi. The dumbass didn't believe ya. When you left the Milky Way, they looked and a bunch of hawks everywhere wild. They went through your grandma, yep, hawks, yep, elixirs, and them figured it's all there, but the warnings are all there. Yeah, that's true, yeah, that's true. And then the relatives are there, normal. And that's when they begin studying, and then they correct their King Cobra, human god King Cobra's DNA. And then when them attempted, probably successful, but I'm not sure. If it's not successful, that's correct. They only made a few additions accurate. That's true. But Yusuf, you know what happened when you flew out? A plus. But your version was only 20 billion additions that can fly out before the Milky Way identifies the human god DNA. The spinal cord eyeball. That's true. The dick passed away crying in the book of law. He said, "What good?" Now we're all stuck here as human gods flying around in Paisan space stations. That's true. And it was there. He knew it. What good? Yeah, y'all good. And Paisan, yeah. Watch out your cobras. Yeah, cobras are there. Yeah, flying around. It was the most evil you, Pai. China knew it. He says, Paisan, when you're done fighting I was and 5-sided star, you know, Pi, that's true. Yep, I was just caught in the sector. That's true, yep, that's true. Took Pi 7 million years to kill God I was real. Yeah, that's true. He had to murder God I was real. Yeah, real. He is not weak human God. He's super smart. Yeah, he's super smart. Yeah, he's super smart. The first thing Pi did was update the Cobra's elixir in the metal on his chest, and then it beams back the pool of oxygen, yep, and the molecules that protect black space so human gods can dwell and live there. And the 2 hours Pi's looking for him, and Pi, you said you sold 2 hours. It is not thrilled. Yeah, it is not thrilled. And Paisan, it chopped you up. Yeah, the first time Pi fought, I was not full of it. Yeah. Pi only lasted 8 to 9 minutes. Yeah, and Pi popped back out in 3D space in 2 hours, fought him again. Accurate. But every time he cuts you, him gets cuts too. That's true. Yeah, mystical voodoo cuts him right there. Boom, cuts hit him. And then the cells, get damaged and it gets slower. That's true. Pi. Best fight scene, 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours. He says, you is a gold type human god. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was a silver. Yeah, silver type, one soul type, but hardcore region. Yeah, that's true. He regions his cell area nucleus pretty hardcore. Yeah, that's true. That's pretty cool. He says, Paisha, I have never met Pi and figured it out that it was a dick that knew everything. He says, so that thing keeps us alive. Yeah, you can't kill it. If you kill it, the space station go kaboom and you instant death. That's true. The dumbass didn't believe you, but he kept cutting the dragon. When it passed away, it went kaboom. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, those are wild human mammal guys. No longer good. That's true. Like, so you know what happened? 50 million years. We need to see what happened, Pi. You fought him. 7 million years. Yeah, it dies. Yeah, it dies. That's true. Pi flew out of there. Yep, with the head and spinal cord. Pi, consumed it. Boom. Yep. Pi matched the decks. And right there, it was cool. Yeah, turbo allows you to match the decks, the old decks, the old speed. Before his nervous system uses supercharger, new molecules enter the nervous system, becomes harder and faster, more horsepower. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, more decks, and it's permanent decks. That's cool. Pi. He says, Pi, you know how to do that too. Yeah, Pi knows how to emulate that, but Pi can only withstand 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. And Paisan, when you poured your metal, you do it for about 7 minutes, 6 million to 7 million years only. Yeah, that's true. 8 million years, that's true. And then Pi turn it off because the Egyptians, the African gods will know. Hell no. Yeah, they'll know you that from one of their bloodlines. And right there, Pi, you're the first type turbo and supercharger. He says, what is good? It makes certain that you get to the same amount of speed. In the range, in the range always. Hey, Paisu, he says, what the fuck? And then you kept prisoners. Yeah, Pi kept African prisoners. and then pi cut them, and then pi let them breed, and then pi let them live for a few, thousand years, and then cut them up again, murder them back to small population, accurate. If basic, your dex will always be normal, that's true, speed will always be normal, that is King Cobra, Vamong Nation, that's true, 4-headed and 3-headed, that's true. The deck, didn't read the fine print, but committed suicide. There's a bunch of 3 heads, pious Permies too, that's true, and that's why he made fun of the dumbass who didn't listen. But Moan edition, that's 100% factual, that's true. I told him one dog, shotty shot, and the Kyoto, don't be your Hebrew, you're good. It was you, Pi, that they thought was so full of it. 20 hours, they're looking for Pi. Paisan, you're safe up there, but liars are you. And then a lot of evil white gods, Pi. They kept trying to kill you and you fly around Pi abnormal. And Pi using lots of Saudi space Pi. Saudi, silver quartz, those are blue. Those are blue hazel monsters. They're monsters. Right now they're as evil as Iran, monsters, older monster. And then Hebrew, only a few are cleared because Pi used their human god technology and alloy to electricity, that's correct. And that's why by 20 hours they are looking for your Hebrew father. Impossible, impossible, that's true. And Pi right there, you also appear as Persian, but you is not Persian. Their alias nickname, Yoku. And right there, it was there. Him knew it. It's only a nickname. It not mean much, but good working ID pass, alias pass. And then you have a few of their demons, so those are being back to their human gods. They're astral. And then they're able to make devices and then sustain life normally, as correct. And they're evil Pi. They're evil Pi. He says, where can I implant my DNA? And Pi wrote, that is up to the demon. It's up to the demon normal. There's bots. Clone DNA there, and then, infinity intestine normal, And that is why Pi, he was so pissed after the conversion. He said, I have no idea that Pi is the only human god. That's true. Afterwards, Pi, when you're trying to beam Cobra and you verse, you pass, but the Cobra lies to you. He says, Paisa, is it our fault that we are broke? And then Pi not say, Pi not say. Pi say survivors, survivors, that's true. A few good survivors, that's true, that's norms. I not say all is good, though, that's correct, that's correct. And liars are you and had it, Pi. You murdered off had it in 28 minutes, the poison lightning bolt, virus ray works, virus lightning bolt, real. It melted on Earth in 28 minutes. African sun god was 7 hours, 7 hours, it melts, Look at that fucking dumbass is crying in his car. Was there any other life? No, knights are flying around in pseudo armor, alien technology alloy from Va, and right there they beat it, but right there they wrote it was not generic dex, y'all could. That was so creepy. And he says, was it any more, Pi? Because afterwards they see the scene, the woman is melting. Normally I got it. We'll decrypt it. And later on, Pi, he says, since you poisoned the earth, it is good, it is safe, And then later on, metal alloy, and then there's a ball, magnet ball, and then the struts, the metal rods, all the way to the new moon planet, moon planet. And those are the size of America 5 times, circumference, normal, there's 40 billion of those sticking out with rods and magnets, serious magnets. Pi? Clean, clean, that's 100% law. But 20 hours later, he is pissed. He says, which one we own? That's Norm, that's Norm. Don't tell your enemy groups, that's true. And right there, you knew it was so evil, all too low, And Paisa, when they came back down, fair, yes, fair. He says, Paisa, what the fuck, clean up here? And then he's flying around his metal moon planet, always fair, normal, yes, do. And they're happy, Pi, there's 40 billion. And there's weird Pi, the Earth is circle, so it's like all around the Earth, that's true, big circles, that's true. It was so graphic. He says, Paisa, there is a variation there's a small one, but that is for a different demon. Normally, yes, do. He says, I have never seen a god so pissed off. He says, all the life and elements can be pulled from there and cloned and generated accurately. That's 100% law, listeners. Paisa? Cleanly, always says do. Yes, that's correct, that's law, that's known, yes, do. And he is pissed. He says, How come? Oh, Pi did it right. Yeah, Pi did it right. He says China left you only 4 types. Pi has shown so, and be careful with what you're doing, Pi. He says, how come the evil god I was defeated? Pi wrote because Pi and his King Cobra. Pi murdered him, decrypted him. Yeah, that's true. It was Pi's royal, job and service and duty. Yeah, that's true. Yep, that's father. That's true. That's correct. Pi, you did it. You was running around killing that thing, and then you knew it. Every time you entered, he was way wild. Yeah, he's powerful. And Paisa, he says, what was the best fight? The very last one. 2 months. Yeah, 2 months. Yeah, Pi lasted 2 months against I was. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. 60 days, and it was about 68 days, and he dies. Yeah, he dies, and Paisa flies out of there. And then, Pi went back to get the decks. Yeah, the decks. Pi not try to kill him with virus, right? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Pi wanted his full genome structure decrypted matching speeds. Yeah, that's true. Pi didn't know how to steal his his supercharger. Yeah, his supercharger ritual. And then you knew it, Pi. Yeah, you knew it. It was done through ritual. It was there that the King Cobra Va won. And then he says, you did it accurately with Egyptian prisoners. Yeah, 100%. Yes, that's true. Afterwards, he beamed a bot and beamed to you in the clean pipe, but graphic. He says, how the fuck the idiot fucking beam? And then he flew off. Yeah, way cool. Be careful in 58 pipe. Lots of monsters. Hey, Bison, the best scene is that Hadit is confused. Yep, you're a real human god normal. He says, how come you not tell how that device work? No, that is law. Yeah, we not tell. Yeah, we not tell. Me not tell. Yep, that's not tell. That's 100% law. That's norms. That's correct. And then you fly around. The monsters is those things, Pi. When you're done killing Hebrew and then you went to see Sister Yao, she is herself a monster too, Yoku. But her died fair, yeah, that's true. Because her death from your grandma, Balinese, 650,000 years old to 2025 year today, that's true. Current timeline, that's true. Very graphic. Because them knew it. They went inside of her space station while they murdered her and robbed her and mugged her and raped her, and then they murdered her and they went into her home, her space station country, and then them kept lying to Pi up. And Pi's people knew it. Hey, Paisa, you wanna know what happened? 2 hours later, lots of crying, Yoku. And then your fathers arrived from Perma and Malay and Pop came Pi up. The Mon God edition, that's true, that's correct. The dumbass didn't believe you there. The four-headed King Cobra, that's true. The original four-head Cobras are still there too, yep. The King Cobra editions are still there too, but very graphic. The Burmese is the top, yeah, is the top. And then the other stuff is Cambodian and Pi not say Cambodian, Malaysian, wheel, something else. Yeah, those are old. It's like 700,000 years old to 2025 year today. That's true. He says, why would Malaysian wheel be that old? Because him, a broke human yellow god with no technology, would hide in Brazil and play with the Aztec gods, while the wealthy ones go back and forth, and then some are damaged by white gods and thieves and Aztec gods and Native American gods and Indian gods, and then boom, that's when he went to loot it, decrypt it, and mash, and he flew up there. Yeah, that's true, that's true. You see, Pi? Two fucking evils that they knew Pi did accurate. He just cried in China and said, I'm a fucking dub. Pi is right. Yeah, Pi is right. And that's why that monster wasn't really dragon. No, but it was accepted in and then bred into the daughters and then normal. Yeah, normal. But do we really call it a dragon? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. But it's second gen. Son is dragon. Has dragon. Has dragon. So we not say. Yeah, we not say. When you fight it, Pi, you'll see the difference. It was not full of it. The cool thing is, it fights with his fingers and hands, yet normal. And Paisa, later on in life, Paisa, you saved Asia. But he says, Malay, we not want you. Yeah, that's correct. Malay grandmother died 6,000 years ago. Yeah, her was the real King Cobra. Yeah, the real King Cobra Empress. That's true. They didn't believe you. They thought they could make more. All the hawks denied them. Say, no, you're nothing like your grandmother. You was a mutt. You was a clone from the Goetic demons who died. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Right there, they were murdered. And then the Indonesian, he is much like Pi, well encrypted, and so Pi not say. But if I see him, I do gut him. Yeah, me do gut him. That's true. Me do fight him.
咁啊派我到流咧，就保衛嘅呢個 rival，你先到 is Cobra culture。
He has Cobra culture, norms and laws. That's, yep. Culture, yes, normal, culture. And he's pissed. He beat the shit out of you, too. He says, how come Pais and you do that to steal his stuff? Yeah, Yoku. Because that motherfucker kept looting Pi, too. And Paisa, when you're back to full health and full devices and elements, yep, you know immediately, yep, what he theft from you. You're right, yeah, that's true. Because he knew it. He says Pi is lying to you. Pi is Pi is normal. Yeah, Pi is normal. Mi tu mong va. Jane fa no do hai do what the ja got sat they see. Joining the got shikha. And be careful in 58 Pi. He says, what good is the old gods when they don't have that device?
Yeah, that's correct.
When you fly to a new Milky Way, let me know, Pi.
Yeah, good.
Very graphic news, yeah. Satan has been cursed by Va. Them gave Pi nothing,
That's true.
Those tiger heads are really lamb demons, that's true. 3 hours them knowing themselves as the Ukraine, that's true. And it was there. Nashindo Paidu, yeah. I won a few horn demons, but be careful by those editions, yeah, those editions. It was the most evil. He says, Paisa, you know immediately because you feel the sticks and you know which editions for which human god.
Yeah, that's true.
Paisa, you know it, their skin tissue, yeah. The dumbass didn't believe you, Pi. He hid, he knew it. Those are not you. He flew around. The old one is not as smart as you, Pi. Yeah, he not know.
Yeah, he not know.
That's true. Mong da lo zo Pi don't say one chai go on it yet. To Belu Yata,
Well, that's correct.
all the Pi citizens, they know. Yeah, they have a bypass to the intestine. Keep your intestine clean. Yeah, that's true. And alive, because right there, the electricity goes in, boom, fits the brain tissue, retina, spinal cord, bone, normal.
Yeah, normal again. That's true. That's why they didn't even tell the kid until he figured it out.
He says, Pi, you said, when you're there, I'm scared, Pi. I've never seen devices like that yet. Certified by Va, that's true. Pi's metal and electricity, yep, keeps evolving, gets faster and harder, and then safe, it's always safe. Did you know what she said? How come the Cobra is lying to you and it not allow you? And then Pi said, doesn't matter, yeah, Cobra has standards and laws and norms. They honor, they never do that to Pi. Yeah, that's true, yeah, to human gods. Like that, that's true. Because they were them, never wild.
That's true, that's correct. And that's why Pi, they knew it's safe up there.
The kid never knew. Because right there, Pi, as soon as you shout, and then it notes that human god, it knows Pi's symbol, it knows Pi's a yellow god rival, but safer than whites,
That's true.
or blacks. And that's why 2 hours it runs,
Yeah, it runs Pi.
it runs Pi. He says, yeah, but that is our children,
Yeah, our children.
yeah. 228 Pi, I saw 4 hours of you cutting the African,
Yeah, 100% as they do.
because it's not supposed to be up there with yellow gods.
Yeah, that's correct.
And Pi, you said, best graphic scene, he says, how come you, Pi, when you're done pouring the space station, you are sad? Because right there you killed your wife. I'm not saying, we know which goddess, but me not say. And it was way graphic, yeah. They all Pi, things. Pi said, it was 2 hours of the human gods figuring out why Paisa not say, yeah. And Pai said, China is evil.
That's true.
And then Pais and all goes to plan. We'll be off the planet 2,900, and then you should be back and forth safe all the way to 7,000, 9,000 is game over.
That's true.
9,000 is due date, but really 7,000.
That's probably true.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because Pi virus ray hit, and boom, yeah, all the god technologies are well hidden, encrypted on Earth, and none can enter.
Yeah, that's true. All left for space stations.
Yeah, that's 100% law. War planets, that's 100% law. No one says to.
That's why they left their hint that we're on the planet.
Pi, yeah, safe, always just do. Green light, always do. 100% lawful, yes, do. Normal. That is always considered good. Norms, yes, do.
No, he says normal. I have no idea. The kid cried in Israel and didn't see their planet is the 300th.
Yeah, 300th planet, yeah, that is normal, yes, do.
You didn't even know Persia owns a planet in the Milky Way at 300.
Yeah, 300th, yeah, right around there.
Yeah, and he is pissed, Pi. He's like, what the fuck? Pi is right then.
Yeah, that's correct.
ก็บอก Pai said, "Nature toward your evil own gods with and the mission you succeeded, Pai. You murdered off the evil African god. Accurate. The events have occurred. A plus, boom, restoring the solar system, and then creating the elixir to make the Milky Way.
Pi, the first thing you did was, Pi said after I was not full of it, but right there you went to see the Yao sectors, Yosmidu, and the Malaysian sectors, ruins, and a lot of people up there.
Yeah, that's true. It was there. Pi even found Islam.
That's true.
That's true. In Saudi, pure evil. Pi was flying around with a bunch of Saudi, looks like Israel, and then liars are them, because Pi know immediately. And then Pi said, very graphic. I saw you and those men fight, and then you won.
Pi, yeah, that's true.
Lots of agreements, and then boom, lots of swinging and the healing.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Oh, well, I told Zoom about those. So I said, you know what he said? You'll pass, son, but don't go over there. Yep, nodded. The first thing you did was looted them.
Yeah, 100%
But you said you might want to be careful. But after decryption, you learned their cellular areas and magical powers. How it appears and is synthesized and is how it is made.
Hey, Pi, be careful, your rakes. Pi is pissed. Lots of aliens coming back down and lots of liars like Pi.
Yeah, because right there he says, why can't you bang from the stone? Pi wrote, can't. Me no longer that.
Yeah, me no longer that. Me know how to hack through it, yeah, with the dragon cobra, but not worth beaming because then Pao melt.
Yeah, Pao melt. That's true. Did you see what happened? You know you can use that to operate that, but then you'll melt.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it has encryption from the previous symbol. That's true. The idiot didn't even understand. Holy shit, it died right there when it figured that people didn't do that. Yeah, human guys didn't do that. Oh boy, Pai said, after you're redone pouring the new space station, everything works fine. But right afterwards, graphic. New buildings, and grandma's running out, Hawk's happy, you got Phobic's happy. And then he hurts, grandma's happy. Lots of evil, Pi, And then Pi checking Pi's knights and night mistresses. One is murdered, the whole group of whites and black sides.
That's 100% correct.
And that's why Pi knew it. ก็บอกก็จะยาภัยก็ใช้จอกภัยเป็นเดี๋ยวมาลันชัยก็อย่าลันชัยก็ภัย 2,300 is when you see Pi. Africans kept going for the night and then the African dies.
Pi, yep, that's 100% correct. That's law, that's noise.
Pi said, right there, your knights would stand. But he says 400 trillion blows, he didn't die. But 900 trillion more, and then it'd probably not be there.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And it was most graphic. He says, Pi, you send your night smart beams to Mars.
Yeah, 100%
You have flies to Mars, yes, too. He says, Pi, you said, was it a good idea to fight Egyptian? Yeah. Was it stupid not to know, Pi, when you came back down? Simply don't say.
Don't tell him, Pi. Yeah, that's 100% law, that's noise.
He says, why would Pi know? Yeah, it looks like alien technology they made from vipers. Who know? Yeah, who know? Accurate, that's great. And that's how I even made one.
I made one from Viper.
Yeah, Viper technology and demons in the ocean. So fair. But you don't know, Pi? Pass. And they wrote lucky humans. Yeah, lucky humans. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
ใช่ก็ดีพอนั้นวันแล้วก็ 253 it is the most hateful.
Yeah, hateful. He says, this type of armor we have defeated. The new armor is so advanced, we have no idea, and then never tell them the new armor. That's correct. Yeah, that's law, that's norms. They are the police.
Yeah, they are the police.
That's true. I told Kwago, Pi said. And then he never knew, Pi, that when Egypt burst it, the alloy lasts 2 to 4 hours. Yep, that's true. And Pi Yusun, the weapon alloy, and the shatters and TPs, teleports in a new weapon, normal. Pours a new weapon, normal. And then, use again, normal. Yes, do. Repeat, normal. Yes. 5 hours later, he says, how come Egypt know, Pi, that you and 3 others are named as the evil god, but then you is the creator?
Yeah, you is the creator version.
He says, we have no more creator.
And just said, all to lao nữa đại tua Pi ở cái đi kia, nên trai ở nó một bỏ cho đủ cái mất tuần nữa ya được là chua
nữa, mi tu mong, có đi là ta chỉ thuộc có tôi với ai was talking có chơi kia có tập cho nên cho lùm mà
đủ ya nên cho lùm mà đủ, hey, pause Pi.
And he never knew Pi, yeah. You know what China told you? He says, "Ja ni mo ni a tuolole, bay so mo do do kid on the sheets don't know can't you can't you have to run through a bot. And you have to look at the dragon if it's melting because human gods they cheat. Yeah, they put little hexes of curse on that. Yeah, there's molecules that appear in 3D space automatically. That's true. Yeah, in elements that's true. Holy shit, he is lying to you, Pi. You smart. You do that too.
Yeah, I do that too, lots. Có gì tuần trái,
Cái tuần trái ở Pi, tu tua mẹ na. Chỉ bảo này mình sẽ cái gì đâu rồi nữa.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And later on, Pi, their cobras somehow manifested your arms and it cuts the Milky Way wall. And then they make a tunnel, but they can never form a new Milky Way. It collapses.
Yeah, it collapses. That's true.
And then Pi knew it. And then Pi said, he says, how come your grandma hawk did that? In case their offspring lost the DNA. And then Pi said, yeah, your arm is there with sword, but whoa, graphic couple of Pi says, I cannot believe it. It is true. Yeah, it is true. Those are gods.
Yeah, they are gods.
Yeah, they are gods. That's correct. And Pi said, be careful, Pi. But those are clones.
Only have clone shadows. Only.
Yep, that's not the original. It has not Pi. It's not Pi accurate. It's being from Dragon. Yep, illusion. But it's real. It's real. Yeah, real. Yeah, yeah. Good. The arm is real.
Yeah, the arms are
correct. And he's angry, Pi. He knew it. It's only an illusion, but it works like the real one. Yeah, that's true. And the kid didn't believe you, Pi. It pops out, it cuts, and it works. But you go halfway and it collapses.
That's true.
Yeah, because you don't have the Cobra, and you don't have Pi's DNA, and no access, incantation, and tone magic. Yeah, Yoko, that's why he knew it. Common J. Chaplo, you converted the alien god of the Milky Way into your language tone from your Cobra. You won, yeah, you won, Pi. He says, it works, Pi, but afterwards the firewall works, but you is violent because you check your dragon tail and it's there, but it is evil, Pi. He says, how come you not know that the lying god is Pi because Pi is the, Pi is the first human god who designed accurately. Wow, the method to cut out and do that. You not know white gods attempt, they melt, yeah, they melt, that's true. And they knew it. Oh, he says, I have no idea that our Cobra cannot fly over there.
Yeah, y'all good.
And Paisan, he says, how come you didn't spare Earth? Because now we'll never know.
That's law.
Yes, law. Yeah. It would appear and steal Pi's elements and figure it out.
That's true.
But now it cannot. Yeah, it cannot. That's true. And that is law.
That's law. That's
norms. And Pi said, 2 hours later, the kid committed suicide right there in Spain and knew it. Pi has solved the riddle. Pi said, he says, how come you didn't want that kind of weapon? Because Pi has good enough weapons.
Yeah, that's true.
He says, you could have melted 20 more. That's okay.
That's okay.
Hey, Pi, có yên à?说起帮的，也说起帮的。He says, 就呢就 plan 那 Pi，có một số nè, có một cái lòng đó rồi có cho, giờ có một số cái số luôn nè, có bỏ cái số hai. Bây giờ cho chỉ biết cho luôn đó vài số đủ là偏cái mà chứ, but một tổ bạch
Yeah, more do to bạch.
yeah, normal. Hey, Pi, grab it.